designing my pizza, I put everything on that bitch, so I don't know why the sprites are only showing a pepperoni pizza. So, this is a cutscene that only plays when you have no save data, either by booting up the game for the first time, erasing the data manually, or getting the bankruptcy ending. And clearly, given what the cassette man is saying, this is our introduction to this game and this job, so why is Scrap Baby here? During the game proper, you don't get to try to salvage her until night 3, but why is that the case when she's here before we even start the game? And another thing, her being here during the intro means that she's already inside the restaurant, right? Why isn't she attacking from night 1? Why do we have to try to salvage her for her to start attacking?
Begin audio prompt in 3,
2, 1.
Did Scrap Baby turn off my tape recorder? I mean, she's not really moving, and if the tape recorder turned off by itself, that was some impressive timing. Okay, why is it that in this franchisee introduction video you sometimes have these children that look cute and stylized like this, but then other times you have these 1950s propaganda-ass looking kids?
Aside from the daily risk of lawsuits, there's also the risk that something might be hiding inside whatever you just purchased with that steeply discounted price tag.
Which makes no sense, by the way. How can a gigantic animatronic suit fit into a cardboard box with plastic balls in it and have no one notice?
Money for supplies and repairs comes out of petty cash, so don't worry about it coming out of your pocket. We've got you covered.
Really? Repairs and advertising materials come out of petty cash, but I had to use my own income to buy $100 cleaning supplies?
Also, shining your light directly into a vent will most likely prevent anything from jumping out.
Why would anything jump out? Why would anything be in the vents? And more importantly, why would you have a pre-recorded message warning me about there being something in the vents? Isn't this a new establishment? Isn't Freddy Fazbear supposed to be rebranding? Why would you even think that there'd be anything in the vents?
You also have 3 tools available from the terminal itself. There is a motion detector, an audio decoy, and a secondary ventilation unit. Keep in mind, however, that you can only have one of these active at any given time.
Oh, come on. We live in an age where we have robots that are literally designed to scoop up children, nay, scoop up ghost children, but I can't have 3 computer processes running at the same time? Okay, imagine this, right? The manager of a random Chuck E. Cheese in Utah randomly finds a broken down, melty version of a Charles Entertainment cheese in a back alley, and management tells you that no one knows where it came from, but that you have the option to either toss it back where they found it, or risk death from exposed wire strangulation and or stabbing with multiple sharp teeth for a week straight, all for the retail value of a fucking PS5. And another thing, why am I receiving instructions from a random dude's voice in a cassette tape? Was I not being taught how to do things from tutorial unit? Who gives me the cassettes? They make it sound like they just found Molten Freddy today, so whoever found him must be nearby, right? Why did they record this tape instead of just, I don't know, talking to me? Or doing it themselves? And the audio prompts you're asking me to play for the animatronics all seem to be the exact same, so is someone coming in and rewinding the tapes, or are they 5 separate tapes with the same audio? Is someone setting up the salvaging room and bringing the animatronics in before I get here? They must be, because of the maintenance logs you're asked to fill out. I asked because I said they make it sound like they just found Molten Freddy, but Cassette Man never actually says that. He only ever says that the animatronics were found in a back alley and are of unknown origin. And I doubt the animatronics are coming into the salvaging room on their own, meaning someone must be putting them here, most likely Cassette Man himself, so why isn't he dealing with this? If he's afraid that the animatronics are going to kill him because they'll either recognize him or he just isn't capable of handling them, how'd he get them here in the first place? It just doesn't make sense. Though, to be fair, these salvaging minigames don't make a whole lot of sense to begin with. The animatronics want to kill me, right? What exactly is stopping them from doing so? They're right in front of me, the only thing separating us is a wooden desk, and it's not like you start the salvage with a taser shock, meaning they're free to move however they please. Unless whoever set up the room tasered each animatronic right before I got here, which again, if that's the case, why am I not speaking to that person directly instead of receiving orders from an ancient audio box? Mechanically, I understand what the point of the maintenance logs are. They're for the sake of transitioning each animatronic's graphic to their next aggression stage, but why even give me forms to fill out if I don't need to fill them out? All I do is play the audio, shock them so I don't die, and then hopefully I get some money in the end, regardless of any danger each robot may present. Which, now that I think about it, is very in line with Fazbear Entertainment's business model.
Before you is an animatronic found in the back alley. We are unsure of its origins. It is your job to complete the maintenance checklist before claiming it as salvage.
Who the f*** is this guy? So he's credited as William Afton, who is the purple guy from the second game, and Springtrap from the third game as confirmed by sister location, but Springtrap doesn't look anything like this. And I understand, these animatronics are supposed to be broken down versions of already established characters, but how do you explain some of these changes? His color's different, his head shape's different, he has a different snout, the teeth aren't the same, his entire body structure is different, and he has feet now. Well, not that he didn't before, but back then they were more endoskeleton looking. Now they're covered up by what the suit should have had? How? Why are these designs so different? These cannot be the same character. Circus and Scrap Baby? It's far-fetched, but I could kinda see how you can make the argument for that. Spring and Scrap Trap, though? Hell no, not unless this hoe got jaw filler, buccal fat remover, and hit the gym 6 times a day to magically grow feet!
You don't really know who your employer is, do you?
I'm not convinced I do. Normally for things like this, you'd think I'd get an email or a phone call, not a goddamn Walkman with the same fucking tape in it every day. Okay, I know this is a restaurant where little kids eat nothing but pizza, but dude, it is my 4th day at this place and I am still unclogging toilets. Why am I unclogging toilets every single day? At that point, just call someone. Or fuck it, just leave them a cassette tape. So heads up, there's a jump scare during this scene, and it's because I don't understand. Like I said, from a real-world game design standpoint, I get it, but if Lefty is jump-scaring the protagonist during the salvage, how are we alive? Why didn't Lefty kill us? Did he just scare us and then run off into the vents where he will then try to kill us anyway?
Now we can do what we were created to do, and be complete. I will make you proud, Daddy.
Scrap Baby, I am a stranger just trying to make an honest living at this pizzeria, and while flattered, I don't think it's appropriate to call me you were talking to Crap Trap. Okay.
Connection terminated. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Elizabeth. If you still even remember that name.
Okay, see, this is what I'm talking about. Why the hell did we have a tape recorder when Cassette Man could A, hear us this whole time, and more importantly, B, could communicate with us whenever he wanted to?
And to you, my brave volunteer, who somehow found this job listing not intended for you.
Not intended for me. It was a job listing to be a franchisee of a pizza restaurant run by a giant entertainment conglomerate where I had to put money down to even open the place. If it was intended for a specific person, why was there even a job listing?
Although for one of you, the darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole. So don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
So that was a fucking lie.
We value our commitment to atoning for past mistakes and tying up loose ends.
Imagine uttering the words Five Nights at Freddy's and tying up loose ends in the same sentence.
There is no need for you to return to work next week, as Fazbear Entertainment is no longer a corporate entity.
So that was a fucking lie.
Okay, why does every sponsorship ad have the same music? Imagine if you watched a life insurance ad, a medication ad, an ad for the latest video game, and an ad for an upcoming movie, and they all use that one Kevin MacLeod song that every YouTuber and their grandma uses. Yeah, you know the one.
Congratulations! You've completed a full week on the job, and you've done it in such a lackluster way that no one is proud or disappointed.
Well, to be fair, you did say that no one was proud or disappointed, which is not only the title of my autobiography, but it also means that I did do what was asked of me. I just did the bare minimum. Coincidentally, the title of the sequel to my autobiography.
It's a fine line to walk, but you did it, completing your job with such an efficient level of laziness that we're surprised you're able to dress yourself in the morning.
Hey, screw you, Scott Cawthon! I play video games to escape my daily life, not reflect it. As the name implies, the insanity ending is insane. You have to buy Egg Baby and then during the office segment turn off the computer, press the button on the computer which is normally green and is now not only blue but turned off, and then turn the computer back on. It's not difficult, but it is such a specific set of things to do. How and why would anyone think to do them?
What he had already done wasn't enough. He found a new way to desecrate, to humiliate, to destroy.
Remote activated simulated C? RASK? Not only is that not an acronym for anything, which it clearly seems you wanted it to be based on the periods after every capital letter, the last letter doesn't even have a word attached to it. It's just a C. What does the C stand for? Did you give up 3/4 of the way in? It's during this ending that it's made clear that Lefty is actually a containment suit for the puppet, given the context clues such as Lefty being the only animatronic that doesn't speak, alongside the security puppet minigame being referenced during the completion ending, and a screenshot of the puppet itself in the second game being shown, explaining why Lefty sort of stuck out amongst the others as a character we've never seen before, and one that wasn't entirely disfigured. But why? How? How did Cassette Man know how to develop a suit that could capture the puppet? Lefty's real name is also an anagram, except spelled with an E instead of a Y, standing for Lure, Encapsulate, Fuse, Transport, and Extract, meaning he was designed to lure and trap the puppet within for the purpose of bringing it to this pizzeria, but why not just lure the puppet to the pizzeria? The puppet itself isn't a spirit, it's just another animatronic, and in your diagram you even note that behavior within the suit isn't guaranteed, so why build all these bells and whistles to contain the puppet? It just seems like too much work for something you didn't have to do. All the other animatronics came here somewhat willingly, they were all lured here and didn't need to be put inside another suit to do it. Well, except for Afton, that is totally a different suit. My point is, you didn't need to do it if you already knew how to lure the puppet to somewhere or something, and especially if you found the puppet already trapped in something like, oh, I don't know, a wind-up box? How is it that the puppet has one of the only stories that makes sense in this series, but then Lefty dismantles it by making absolute zero sense from a purely conceptual standpoint?
Congratulations! You went somewhere you weren't supposed to go, saw something you weren't supposed to see, and prevented a tidy resolution to a messy problem.
Trust me, bro, I'm not the one who prevented a tidy resolution to a messy problem. You've had that since the series started.
We're giving it to you to ensure that no one believes you, and to ensure that we can promptly replace you without incident.
I can just throw this away, like, doesn't really mean anything if no one sees it. Not to mention, this stinky novelty certificate would never hold up in court. Okay, f you. Why the hell am I even in this room then? Clearly someone isn't setting up this room, because why the hell would they waste my time by setting up this stupid wooden stand-in just to tease me? Not only that, but the animatronic went out of its way to mock me by engraving "I'm already inside" on the sign. Which, how the hell did it engrave it? That's clearly not writing, it's way too font-like. Do they have pinpoint accurate laser vision or some shit? Are they programmed to etch into wood with their razor-sharp claws, those that have them? And another thing, how do these animatronics know about the salvage process? Why would they walk into this room, play stupid by letting me shock them and play them these tapes, and only try to kill me the next night? And see, that's my problem with this from a story perspective. Neither scenario makes sense. Someone must be setting up the salvage room for me because someone needs to rewind the tape, and even if you theorize that someone must have set up the tape recorder to automatically rewind each night or whatever the hell, how do you explain the maintenance logs? You have new ones each night. Am I bringing those with me before I come into the room? Who do I deliver the logs to? Why aren't they dealing with this shit? Do I leave the logs in the salvage room after I'm done? Then obviously someone is coming in to collect them, and that has to be true because otherwise how did the animatronics, which are supposedly being found, get here in the first place? But then why would whoever's setting up the room waste my time by bringing in this wooden stand-in? No shit, I'm gonna throw it back in the alley. And if it's the animatronics who are coming in this room willingly, how did they know that we'd be trying to salvage them in the first place? They clearly do because any of them can leave the stand-in. Why are they wasting their own time? Why let me shock them? I know I've already brought up a lot of these points in previous sins, but it's so incomprehensible that it bears repeating. And what's worse is that it seems like they can come in whenever the hell they want, so why wait? Like I mentioned earlier, the animatronics can only get into the pizzeria after a salvage attempt, or if they sneak in through purchasing a markdown item from the catalog. But there is another way. Most people seem to think that purchasing and setting down items with high risk only increases your odds of facing a lawsuit at the end of the day, but they also increase your odds of any of the animatronics breaking in early, regardless of whether or not you bought a markdown item. I was going for one of the endings and didn't buy Sanitation Station in favor of buying Trash in the Gang so I could get enough money for other things on the first night. Because of that, I went into the first office section with 3 risk, but I figured, well, it's the tutorial night, I'm just gonna do my tasks and be fine. And then BAM! I got jump scared by Scrap Baby, who shouldn't have even been able to be here until after night 3. So What the hell? In universe, risk should only represent liability risk, right? Like, how likely and often it is that I'll get sued because of how dangerous any of the things in my pizzeria are to any of the customers. So, why the hell does that translate to risk of an animatronic coming in anyway? What does it matter then? Why not just walk in every night? Why not all walk in together? No one gives a shit about the rules, and I don't even know what the rules are to begin with. Listen, hey, listen to me. I need you to really listen here. Don't just hear what I'm saying. Actually pay attention. Not a lawyer, but I don't think a complaint in a civil lawsuit should start on paragraph 6. As well, the complaint itself states nowhere what the plaintiff is seeking in damages or retribution. I just have a silly little settle button on the top left. And to top it off, legally, I don't need to answer this lawsuit immediately. Most have a waiting period of 20 to 30 days. There's no way I'm expected to answer this complaint immediately after I'm served with it. Where in the sweaty balls is this office if it can get as hot as 120 degrees Fahrenheit? Like, I get that it's a small, cramped room where I need a fan to keep it cool, but even with the computer on, there's no way it gets that hot. In fact, considering how giant the vents are, is my office in the vents? Whose bright fucking idea was that? On the other hand, what kind of jet turbine do I have in my office that can make the temperature go from 120 degrees to 60? No wonder this shit is louder than an anxious dog at a mailman minding his own damn business convention. While I'd argue that most of this game is fairly skill-based, the blacklisted ending feels like it's 5% careful planning, 35% skillful execution, and 60% luck. I can't possibly know if something's going to get marked down and how much risk it's going to give me. Some items don't even give you risk despite being marked down. Sometimes, items you don't even have access to yet can get marked down, and what's worse, other times, items you already bought can get marked down. But you need to keep making money, so sometimes you have to put down attractions or animatronics that will increase your revenue despite the risk involved, which can result in lawsuits that you need to spend money on in order to afford your legal fees, which can mess up your entire plan, which leaves you reliant on performing well at certain minigames, which are pretty goddamn stingy with their bonus requirements. I was lucky that I got good enough at Carnival Hoops in time so I could buy Orville Elephant and complete the mediocre melody set so I could get the $10,000 in order to afford Gravity Vortex and get the last 5 risk I needed on the first try, or I would have had to play the entire week all over again!
We'll mail you your final paycheck, minus the costs of wiping the security footage clean and erasing all trace of your employment from our files.
There's a cost for that? I don't know, that seems like a pretty straightforward job. I don't know why you feel like you'd have to pay anyone to get that done. So, regarding minigames like Fruity Maze, obviously it's not us playing because I doubt they'd let a little girl be a franchisee all by herself, so this must be a glimpse into the past, meaning the little girl we see in the reflection is actually playing this arcade machine which actually features mangled dogs while we leave behind a trail of blood, and I gotta ask, who in the Freddy Fazbear made this? Because this isn't just some headcanon theoretical scenario. No, this little girl played this and was lured by Afton after seeing these sprites, but did he make this game? How did he know this little girl lost a dog in a car accident? I mean, that's what's being implied here, right? The most obvious answer is that Afton knew this little girl and ran over her dog himself, but are you seriously going to tell me that this man dressed in a Blessed Bunny costume ran over a little girl's dog, made a video game featuring the dog he ran over, produced an arcade machine to put the game in the hopes that the little girl would visit the pizzeria he worked at, play it well enough to get to the level featuring the dead dog, also he could lure her with the promise that maybe her dog survived? I'd sooner believe that little children's ghosts can actually haunt robots in real life than that shit. So, interesting thing about this game that didn't exactly make sense to me because there's just zero way you would know any of this without going into the game's code or reading a guide on it. The Lorekeeper certificate and the Lorekeeper ending are somewhat separate. Every guide I read on getting the Lorekeeper ending detailed how to get the Lorekeeper certificate, which is the only one of the title screen certificates that doesn't have its own ending cinematic. Technically. So, I got jump scared after finishing the requirements to get the Lorekeeper certificate and was surprised to see it show up on my title screen without having me actually finish the week first. As it turns out, and something that none of the guides I watched or read through mentioned, is that you automatically have it upon finding everything you need. But the completion ending changes once you have the Lorekeeper certificate, which is really goddamn confusing and isn't explained anywhere. Because I knew that I had to play through some minigames and nothing else, I assumed I could just ignore the salvages just to make things easier on me, and I was met with a cutscene I'd literally never even heard of before. If you fail to meet the requirement for any of the endings, you get the bad ending, which doesn't even have an accompanying cinematic. It's just Cassette Man firing you for failing to do what you were hired to. None of the guides mentioned that I had to get the completion ending alongside the Lorekeeper certificate requirements in order to get the Lorekeeper ending. In fact, some of the guides even explicitly say I can ignore the salvages. And while you could argue that's not the game's fault, that's the fault of whoever wrote the guides, and you're not entirely wrong, how the hell am I supposed to know what to do? Midnight Motorist minigame is the easiest one to run into because the path is pretty obvious to see. Fruity Maze requires you to beat the level you're playing before the next level can advance, so that's pretty self-explanatory too, though given that playtesting the arcade games is for the sake of increasing Faz rating and getting money, I do wonder how many people would use Fruity Maze to do that, playing it over and over in a single save file. And Security Puppet is even worse, considering you have to play it not once, not twice, not thrice, but 4 times in order to see the cutscene, but you're never meant to do anything beyond that. Why would you ever assume that you need to do that in this game? There's never any interaction, and that doesn't change on any of the 3 times you play it beforehand. Why would anyone think, oh, 4th time's a charm, maybe something will happen on the 4th one? Wait, you're telling me that if kids spend enough money on Prize King, they could win Funtime Chica? How the hell does that go down at the prize counter? I'll take one $71,000 animatronic, please. Imagine telling your parents you won a whole-ass robot by spending 10 tokens at a local pizza place. Okay, no. How did you fit an entire Music Man down there? And are you again telling me that kids can just win this thing if they fish it out of a ball pit? So I saved the bankruptcy ending for last by complete accident. I was actually going down the list and hadn't realized I'd skipped over it while following the guides. And I'm kind of annoyed because while it allowed me to capture the intro to the game, which I hadn't done because I wasn't recording when I first played this game, and like I said, it only appears when you have no save file, it also got rid of my achievements. Which, granted, I'd rather those than my certificates, but Posh Pizzeria is not an easy achievement to get. And it doesn't even make sense anyway. I can't reload my save file to the day before my bankruptcy, but you'll let me reload a save when I've literally met the conditions for completion per your requirements? Well, that's kind of f***ed up that all the kids got their graves next to each other in the middle of nowhere as opposed to in a proper graveyard. Also, did the parents of the kids come together to make that decision? Did Fazbear Entertainment do this? Like, how did that conversation go about? Man, I'm so bummed my kid got killed at Freddy Fazbear's place. Aw, dude, no way, mine too. Are you guys talking about how your children got murdered at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza? Because my child got murdered there too, and then that, but for 3 more kids.
The darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole.
Hey everyone, Charai5 here. Thanks so much for watching my CINEMASINS pastiche of everything wrong with Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator. I've been on a bit of a FNaF kick lately because of the Ruin DLC coming out for Security Breach, and I realized that I'd covered all the games in the core collection plus base Security Breach, so I wanted to go back and cover all the games that I haven't before tackling the Ruin DLC. Question of the video, what is your favorite Five Nights at Freddy's game? I think that I'm pretty partial to Sister Location, weirdly enough. I think it's because it's still as indie as the games that came before it, but it was the first one that felt like it had a budget, you know what I mean? Which, it was super cool at the time. I think that's why I just have always thought that it's like weirdly cool, in my opinion. Although I have to say that making this video, I've developed kind of a soft spot for Pizza Sim too. Thank you to my patrons and channel members. On screen you're seeing the names of the wonderful people who choose to support me each month, and if you want to be featured alongside them, you can check the link in the description for my Patreon page, or you can just hit the join button that's below this video. You guys know what to do. Check out CINEMASINS if you haven't already. Like, comment, all that fun stuff. Share with a FNaF fan that you think might find this funny. Maybe they'll have a good laugh with it. Until next time, stay safe and stay awesome. This is Charai5, signing off. I think it's time for you to come out. You've been managing fine on your own. I'm not supposed to manage this on my own. It's supposed to be you and me. There's just been so much going on. It doesn't even feel like you and me anymore. Because it's not. I've had to step up and take care of things. I'm just so tired. And I'm exhausted. What, you think I get a break? I have to take care of things around here, plus try to get work in whenever I can. Before, I could defer to you for that. You could do all the creative things because that's how we work. You create, I critique and keep you in check. But now, I'm the asshole for everything. I'm the one keeping you down. I have to create and manage, and I can do it, but I don't want to do it alone. You want to, but you know you can't. You know I'm the one over your shoulder telling you where you could mess up before you do, or where you did before others do. And that's why we need each other. I can't create as well as you can. Efficiently, sure, but I need the passion. And without the passion, I don't even know what I'm doing. Sure you do. You've seen me do it plenty. No, I mean, I don't know what I'm doing, even continuing. You get stressed so easily. And I try to put your feet back on the ground, but that doesn't mean I don't get stressed either. There were times where I thought it was both of us at the same time. But I don't think that's ever happened. It's always either you or it's me. 'Cause you're right. I'm never not there. But I need you to always be there too. I'm not myself if you're not there. But I don't think I'm the one that needs to know that.